Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Pause up, pet pals. Welcome to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Just move over, Marvel Comics superheroes. Our first guest is a real hero. In fact, a feline warrior helping save the lives of cats. Please give pause and applause to Dr. Elizabeth Colleran. Welcome to the show, Dr. Elizabeth.
You have never lost the art of hyperbole.
No, ma'am. It's in my blood. It's in my blood. Hey, pet pals, I bet you recognize her name. I mean, she is the past president of, I have to take a big breath, the American Association of Feline Practitioners. Shoo, that's a mouthful. Fortunately, go to their website, catvets.com, and save some typing finger muscles. She also operates a major cat-only veterinary practice, Chico Hospital for Cats in Chico, California. And she's on a global mission to help cats. I mean, gee, Dr. Elizabeth Colleran, do you ever take time for a cat nap?
Oh, no, I got over those a long time ago. That ship sailed.
I mean, we're going to dive in. In this special episode today, Dr. Colleran is here to share some very big news about a very nasty disease affecting cats. Feline infectious peritonitis, FIP. And as the good doctor will tell us, until recently, there was really no cure, and it impacts a lot of young cats and kittens. I mean, I invited you, Dr. Colleran, to share what's going on as far as FIP advances and tell us a little bit about this growing health army for cats called Feline Warriors. So let's back up a couple steps. FIP. I don't like the initials. I don't like the disease.
Feline infectious peritonitis is a terrible virus. It's in the coronavirus family, now that we all know what coronaviruses are.
Yes, we do. Yep.
And until it began to appear in the 70s and got more and more frequently diagnosed, it's, as you say, a disease of young cats. It's also a disease of cats who live in stressful situations, in crowded conditions and things like that.
So we're talking shelters, rescue groups, things like that, right?
Well, yes, the ones that don't adhere to certain standards of
I'm not
care,
cutting down
right?
shelters. I'm just saying high population possibilities can happen. Yeah.
Right on. So for us as veterinarians, it was a terrible thing to diagnose. And so we worked very, very hard not to diagnose it and try to find something else that was wrong with this beloved kitten before we told clients who were, as you might imagine, heartbroken to learn that there wasn't a cure. Dr. Niels Peterson at UC Davis had been working for 30 years on this problem. And finally, in the last couple of years, has really made some gigantic breakthroughs. As you know from what we know about COVID-19, having a single viral therapy is never enough.
Right.
And so Dr. Peterson's been working on a couple, and there's another one that's coming out of Australia. And now it is, in a way, a curable disease. And that is a huge milestone for veterinary medicine, for cat owners, and for cats everywhere. So we're really excited about it. But
there seems to be, but there's a little hesitation because there's also some controversy and some confusion, right?
Right. Well, it started out as it was going to be an FDA-approved drug. There were two companies that were working on that, and they decided to stop. And there's a lot of reasons why they decided not to seek FDA approval. It's costly in the United States. There were some reasons to think that these particular forms of therapy might be useful in humans, and that somehow there might be a reflection on this form of therapy if they actually went for the big bucks, which is obviously in human medicine. So they abandoned that effort. And as a result of that, the product was engineered and released out of China. Mm-hmm. And it's legal in some countries to do that, but not in the United States.
Well, that sounds That sounds very frustrating. So, as a veterinarian and someone who has cats, Dr. Elizabeth Colleran, that's like an ultimate tease, isn't it? It's like it's within reach, but not.
Well, it was, and then there are workarounds if something is really, really important, right?
Yeah,
If you
right.
really need something badly, you're willing to maybe bend the rules a little bit. And so what we have is a situation where veterinarians can't acquire the drug, they can't administer the drug, and they
Yet.
can't promise any outcomes, right?
Okay. All right.
But they can work with other groups to do all those things. And the other thing that veterinarians can do, which is perfect, is that we can do everything else. We can provide additional forms of therapy. We can teach them how to give injections. We can formulate the dosages. We can keep track of the history and, connect with the clients in ways that are really important because it does take a while for the therapy to work. So we have a job to do. There's just not all of it.
So tell us how that segues into the term feline warrior.
Well, FIP Warriors grew out of a Facebook page, right? It's now FIP Warriors 5.0.
And it's important to make that distinction, right? Because there's some, this is not meant to be a pun, but there are some copycat. So FIP, go ahead, say
Warriors, FIP Warriors 5.0. Now, you are absolutely right. There are some knockoff websites. There are some fake websites, and those are intended to cheat people out of their money and to make money that they shouldn't be making. And so it's very important to go to FIP Warriors 5.0 or for really recent updates and a completely current state of affairs for FIP. It's zenbycat.com, which is Peter Cohen's website.
Well, it's actually zenbycat.org. I checked that out.
Oh, sorry.
See, I was doing my homework. And Peter Cohen, zenbycat.org. I'm just going to say it so we can get the right information. That also, I saw his site. He's amazing. And he's got a poster cat, if you will. You want to talk about Smokey?
Smokey was one of the earliest cats treated in Dr. Peterson's clinic as a client-owned cat. There were some studies done in laboratory cats and that showed really good results. And so a small group of cats were permitted to join this study. And Peter Cohen's cat, Smokey, was one of them. And he's still here. He is alive and kicking and doing just great. He had, as you might imagine, in the early days of a drug, things aren't perfect. And so there were some things that, we learned from all that. But he is one of a group of survivors that's still alive today.
Wow. I love this. Hey, everybody. And we're going to take a break in just a second. But before we do, I want you to also please go after the show to your clinic, Dr. Colleran. Tell us the website for that.
It's chicocats.com.
And
we welcome visitors, of course, and we can be reached through that website. So if there are questions or anyone has concerns about anything they hear today, I sit on email because I hate social media. So I don't do that, but I do answer emails.
All right. We're talking to the good veterinarian. We're talking Dr. Elizabeth Colleran. And she is an FIP warrior, feline warrior. She's helping cats with the FIP. I can't believe how life is so ironic. We're dealing with a coronavirus. Our kitties are dealing with a coronavirus. And we're going to find out more after we take this break. So sit and purr. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. I'm talking with Dr. Elizabeth Colleran, and she is the veterinarian at Chico Hospital for Cats in Chico, California. I've actually been there and met her fine staff. Shout out to everybody. They're awesome. They're very dedicated. And FIP. Now, you have been a veterinarian for how many years now?
Oh, now come on, Arden.
Oh, I'm old. Don't worry. No, but what I like
30 years.
All right, this is what I'm segueing into. You were were you at IBM or something, and you woke up one day and said, "This is not my life story. I want to be a veterinarian." And you're now one of the leading veterinarians. I mean, you're on task force being the past president of the cat veterinary group, that's not an easy thing to accomplish. So what made you shift? What made you say, I'm going to really, ready for it, pursue my dream?
It would only come from you, Arden.
I,
The it's this. It really isn't that I was a crazy cat lady. I don't have 30 cats. I only have two, and the life of the cat became fascinating to me. I wrote a master's thesis on the California mountain lion, and
wow.
I fell in love with the medicine and the physiology and the evolution of cats through history. So
There you go.
it
You
just
want to shout
came
out
from
to
there.
you have Burmese cats, right? Rescues or
I
what?
do.
Give them a shout out. They're listening. I know they are.
They're probably sleeping on my laundry.
That's okay. They can hear with one ear. Go ahead and say their names. I like their names.
Oh, one is Opie because he's a little bit he's very clumsy, and the other one is Andy. I didn't name him. They're both rescues. They came from difficult circumstances.
And what about your dog?
His name is ready.
Yes.
Jimmy. Oh man, what's his name again? Our dog. He's brand new.
Oh, he's brand new. I'm sorry.
His name is Giuliano.
Giuliano. Okay, good. Giuliano. And how is he getting along with Opie and Andy?
They actually are completely fine about him. They think that he is small enough not to be a problem, and he gets slapped around a little bit.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So tell us about the FIP Veterinarians Warrior Group. And you did say at the beginning how you are working within your legal boundaries as a veterinarian, but you have to have all the things that have happened in veterinary medicine for cats. How big is this that there is something that can help cats with FIP? I mean, how would you
this is
step it up?
life-changing. I mean, Arden, it's life-changing. I mean, I had broken the hearts of so many people over decades, and now it's curable. But the problem is getting the drug. And so going through FIP Warriors 5.0 gets you the companies that are validated. These drugs get tested, and you can get advice about the right company to buy from and how much it'll cost. They also, I mean, I am a very small part of this cog. I'm a very small
matter.
cog in
You're
this wheel.
part of it, and it takes a village, right?
And these people are so dedicated to this project, and they have administrative people and veterinarians, and we're all working together, and they do the vast majority of the work to make this drug available to people. And because it takes 84 days of treatment before we presume these cats are cured, and then another 84 days of observation to make sure they don't, because there is a history of relapse in a few cats. So it's a long process, and it requires being helpful to people and teaching them to do things and that they've never done before. And it's a lot. And the people that run FIP Warriors 5.0 are my heroes. They are saving lives every day.
Just to give people a better understanding of feline infectious peritonitis, what are some of the symptoms? How is it diagnosed? You've been. I know it's heartbreaking when it's a beautiful young cat. The family is bonded with them. What are some of the? Is it obvious, or I mean, give us a little.
Well, the cats are really sick. Okay. There's no doubt about it. They are quite ill. They usually have a fever that kind of comes and goes. So a lot of times they'll come in to a practice that isn't familiar with FIP. The cat will get put on antibiotics. They'll think the cat's fine because the temperature goes away or the fever goes away. And then the fever comes back. And it's just that is a classic sign of FIP. And then there are some, in the blood work, there are some markers for that. There's also
for that specific coronavirus or whatever.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just the constellation of signs. A lot of them will develop fluid in their abdomens or in their chest. Okay. In which case that becomes a much easier diagnosis. Cats who develop what we call the dry form of FIP are harder to diagnose, and we have to use more diagnostic testing to get there.
Now, I understand these, and I'm going to sound scientific and I'm not, but there are certain numbers with the G on it that are the types of medicine. I don't want to confuse people a little bit, but is it given orally? How is it given? If people are able to legitimately go on the site and be able to get the medicine and then work with veterinarians like you, so you keep your licenses. I mean, it's got there's a lot of hurdles.
There are, it's the sort of nickname of it is GS. It has a lot, it's GS with a bunch of numbers after it.
Right.
That drug comes in two forms. It comes in injectable and oral. We usually try to start the cats out on injectable at the beginning to get them really started and get things moving, because these cats are really, really sick. Usually they've been sick for a while and they don't get just a little bit sick, they get very sick. And so we try to be much more aggressive at the beginning, and then we can switch them to the oral form later, and which is very often how we do it.
So you recently, I think in 21, gave a 45, 50-minute talk on Zoom about FIP advances. And I watched it and I was, I think is there a way you can let people know how to get to that? YouTube? That was really well done.
It is on YouTube. There's a lot of information now about FIP available, and certainly that's available on YouTube. And the FIP Warriors have lots and lots and lots of links for directions for how to do things, how to acquire the drug, how to administer the drug. There's tons of information now. We're about 2 years in now. Good. And so there's lots and lots of information out there.
What I'm sensing, it's a rising up, and people are like, no, we're going to find a way to get together and get a cure. And
that's exactly what happened, Arden.
Yeah.
Everybody was so upset by the fact that there was this. I mean, Dr. Peterson's work is
wonderful.
Landmark. It's to us, it was a miracle that all of a sudden disappeared. And so there were so many people that were so angry and so upset by that this whole sort of black market kind of approach began to emerge.
So we're going to end with the two sites you want us to be directed to that are legitimate and have the latest information. Take it away, Dr. Colleran.
FIP Warriors 5.0 on Facebook. And you can just send a message, a DM on that to get help.
Okay.
And then the other one is zenbycat.org. And that is Peter Cohen's website. And he always has the absolute latest information on FIP.
All right. We thank you for being our guest on today's show, Dr. Colleran. I want you all to check out her site too, chicocats.com. And we're going to be back after this break with our second guest. So sit and purr. We'll be right back.
Pause up, pet pals. Thanks for watching. If you liked my video, please hit the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel. I want to keep providing you with great guests, special first aid tips, and yes, more videos of these guys. See you next time. Pause up!